show that for him, because in the upper left for Starlight Twinkle in the red, it's Wayne.
And down here in the bottom right-hand side of the map, the blue Protoss player, it is DnS. I believe from Berserker Esports, according to Wikipedia, but I'm seeing a different logo on the ground in yours, I think.
Yeah, my logo's mods is Platinum Heroes, so I'm assuming that he's for Platinum Heroes.
You know what? Yeah, we'll go with that then. I'm just gonna assume that. I know he was on Platinum Heroes, but I think he left. According to Wikipedia, he left in January. Is on Berserker Esports.
I don't know. I'm sure I'm gonna get a DM from one of the admins in a second, like, "Hey, your logo's mod's wrong" or something. So for now, we trust Wikipedia. He's on Berserker Esports. Yeah. It's just a bird is a berserker diving through the air. It's avant-garde. It's modern art. There we go.
Yeah. Either way, though, this is going to be a I think potentially fun match. And again, I feel like Wayne has that strong potential, but we talked like kind of hyped up Wayne a lot. I feel like DnS has been just like low key. I won't say he's like the most consistent player ever, but I feel like he has been around and been a kind of like middle of the pack like contender for Europe, which again, I don't mean as an insult. Middle of the pack in Europe is actually really high level. That is quite high level. You have to be a very, very solid player to be able to get into like the middle of the pack of Europe, much less, you know, at the top of the pack or something. So DnS being able to be at the middle of the pack of Europe for so many years, I think is already impressive in its own right. DnS truly is one of those players that I think if you are not in good form, he has a very, very strong chance against you.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and it's kind of funny. You know, we had a long time where, for whatever reason, DnS and Shadone, countrymen, would be fighting for like the last slot into the playoffs in Masters Europe. We had kind of the same thing with with Harstem and Mana, where they would go make that happen. But I guess they've been desynced a little bit. But you're right, DnS is one of these players that you kind of expect him to make a playoff like every other season. And I look at the pedigree of the players that they've run into, the players that they beat, and the players that they've lost to, kind of getting in here to the rest of round 5. And this season, at the very least, DnS has that more impressive run. I would argue, Wayne, he took down Spatz, right? He took down, who's up-and-comer, super cool, nothing against him. But he took down Forjumi and Spatz. He lost to Shadone. He lost to Battlebee. And when you talk about the pedigree of those players, DnS's run, taking down Geralt, taking down Milky Cow, to me, that's a slightly stronger marker of form.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they're both in a relatively similar place, and well, whatever form they show up in today is definitely going to matter quite a bit. We do have a good old couple of depths opening on up in this game. We have a couple of oracles being made, so DnS is not doing anything super duper crazy or out there. I think that Wayne has that potential every so often to throw out a kind of weird or funky build. So maybe there's like a little bit of onus that he will do something a bit crazy, but so far it's all looking pretty standard normal, and 4 drones already being picked off while keeping both oracles alive is not the worst start in the world here at all for DnS.
No, certainly not. Yeah, the first oracle, 4 drones, 3 lings, you lose the adepts, and that does mean you're a little vulnerable to some counterattack on your third base, but that's why you move the second oracle to defend that one. What's really interesting though to me, it's funny, 2 or 3 years ago the story was, 1 oracle, you don't have to get a lot of damage done, you want to get something, it's for vision. 2 oracles, you want to get some damage done. 3 oracles, you better get some damage done, because otherwise you're going to lose the game. You've committed so much to it. But for now, like pretty much since Hero changed the meta coming back from the military, it's like, yeah, I'm going to build 3 oracles. And I'm going to go into Blink behind it. I'm going to get +1, and that's how you play a PvZ. And DnS stopping it too here. This means his Blink is faster. His +1 is faster. He's going to commit into his tech just a little bit earlier at the expense of only getting 4 drones instead of 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's interesting to see, I guess, the deviation, the difference in play, given how specific PvZ has gotten.
Yeah, and I think part of that also is like he's not necessarily going to be going into the +1 or like +2 blink stalker aggression, that kind of like hero style that he popularized. He's going to be adding on charge, he's adding on Templar Archives, he's going to like that charge lot Archon style. So if you're going for the blink style, you really want those oracles not only keep an eye on things a little bit ahead of your stalkers, you want to have that for high ground vision, but really, really big is you just want to be able to have some extra firepower to help deal with like the lings. The lings themselves can really, really deal damage to the stalkers. But if you're going for charge lot Archon, then yeah, the oracles are a nice little opening. They're going to be able to get some additional scouting information and stuff, but he is looking to just get aggressive with units that don't really need additional help dealing with lings.
Yeah, the problem is +1 range is on the way, right? Roaches are being made here. Lings, pretty rough against charge lot Archon. Lings are pretty rough against charge lots. We saw that in the Mia Micah series, right? Game 3. Roaches, though, you get enough of them. They handle this army pretty well, and unfortunately for DnS, Wayne's getting ready for his own big roach play. We're not going to see this +1 melee ling thing. That's a nice run by. Not a lot of lings for 3 probes. And now +1 makes, you know, some level of a difference. We're going to see Archon drops here, try to get something as the attack gets ready. We're looking at 12 roaches. We're looking at Ravagers on the way. Lambo should have, or yeah, not Lambo, excuse me, Wayne should have enough to defend against this one. Queen gets caught in the front, so a Queen getting, actually, Zealot's coming in from the bottom side as well. That's 2 Queens dead. And I talked about how this should be enough, right? The Roaches here, the Ravagers here, the Queens here. Well, DnS is actually getting a pretty nice trade, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, 3 workers over at the 3rd or the 4th base, that's something. He did kill, yes, a couple of the Queens. He killed some of the Roaches, but this was, in my mind, like a pretty decent investment. Yes, having the Temple Archives is nice, but remember, it's not like he has Storm or anything, which Storm is not even amazing versus Roaches. Like, it can be okay sometimes, especially if you start having like Hydras or something being added on behind it. But this is an attack that I think DnS was looking to get a lot more done with. I don't think that DnS was happy about how the attack went.
Ravi, you say Storm's not good against Roaches. Clearly you haven't seen my games. We bathe.
I think if you have enough Storms, they can be okay.
Anyways, I do like these Archon drops, though, getting 3 drones. And more importantly, at this stage of the game, you're denying gas a little bit. And yeah, you know, one might argue, you know, you're playing Roach Ravager. You're playing Mass Roach. Do you really need gas? Yeah, you do for the Ravagers. They're expensive. Each Ravager costs as much as a Muta when you do all the math of it out. So denying gas, denying more drones here or there, actually is going to force a recall because, well, Wayne's getting ready to move on to the other side of the map. He's got 175 supply. And here's the problem. Immortals, there are 3 of them on the map right now. Looks like a 4th just finished. +2's not ready yet. Blink's not ready yet. Blink Stalker is really good against this composition. But for right now, Wayne's looking to go hit with his really powerful army down on the low ground. I do love the Oracles just sitting here. Ravagers are on a timing. Ravager on the high ground gets caught at as well. And if DnS can just, that's another Ravager misrallied. The Ravagers are the key part of this army, and it's so expensive to lose them. This looked easy for DnS. With all the misrallies from Wayne, the initial hold is just, I mean, at this point, we're starting to see some Archons go down, but this army, the Roach Ravager composition is just not strong enough. And I'm sorry, with all the Ravagers dead, the Roach composition is just not strong enough.
Yeah, I mean, I was genuinely concerned there for DnS, but you're right. He did make that look kind of easy with the defense. The Archons and everything all being out on the front line as a buffer, and none of them really dying. Actually, I'm not even sure. Did more than a single Archon die in that fight? We had like an Archon, a couple of Zealots, and like maybe a few probes or something. But he managed to kill so much in exchange for that. As a little roach run by, or a pretty substantial roach run by, attempted over there, but does not manage to find the mark. Hive is started up behind all this for Wayne, so maybe his transition point is going to be where he finds some kind of advantage, but that was a very, very costly investment of an attack that didn't actually end up shutting down anything. I mean, not even the 4th base.
No, and now we're looking at this situation that, yeah, Wayne's transitioning. He's got a Hive halfway done, Lurker Den on the way, adding in these Hydras, that additional damage on the backside of the Roaches and maybe the Ravagers as well. Lurker's, of course, going to be pretty good. But if I'm Wayne, I got +3 done soon. I don't even know that I wait for that, right? I'm going to get a 175 supply or so. And given what I've been able to do, I think you just run across the map. Your army is so much better right now. Now, we got to talk about this. Wayne's... Oh, okay, well, first of all, that Warpin's not actually going to block the gap out. But Wayne's creep spread is really good. He's all the way across the map. He's got this highway going forward, and that means these run-bys, these counterattacks of Roaches diving into the natural in the main base, are going to force the entire army back, and that should buy enough time to get Lurkers out. Not with upgrade, not just yet, that's a little bit longer. but he's forced the entire army of DNS back home. But Ravi, as we look at this and how much damage is being done, it's 10 probes. That's a lot of roaches that have just died. That is a lot of lings that have just died. Yes, you force them back home, but if we look at the resources trade, does that justify it?
Yeah, that is going to be a really, really weird one because it bought a lot of time. Wayne is going to have those lurkers, like you said. He's going to be setting up a pretty nice angle. And DNS, he's got like 7 Immortals, 7 Archons. It's a scary looking army. I feel like where the fight is going to take place is going to matter so much. Those Lurker upgrades getting very, very close to finishing. And well, the Protoss army's on creep now. This is going to be the do or die moment.
That it will be, but for now, there's a gap in the wall once again. Wayne looking to run right in. Now this army with +3 can run through these lurkers, but they're set up. There's no flank. You do not want to attack through a single angle. And he's going to force a recall as well. Going to depower 2 gateways. Going to depowering the Cyber doesn't really matter. But at this point, Wayne is doing such a good job of forcing DNS back that DNS has these timings. They're really good, and he's just not allowed to take advantage of them. And look at the lurker count now. It's 11 lurkers. This is a powerful army. You can take the fight as DNS. And why are the roaches still here? Why are they still allowed to exist in this natural? Wayne is doing such a good job of not allowing DNS to play the game he wants to play.
Oh, that's so annoying. The reinforcing warp-in gets canceled there. All of these things get depowered. You can see them. DNS is starting to get a little bit flustered here. He had 2 fleet beacons that were actually made. Fleet beacons are not cheap, by the way. It's 300, 200. It's a lot of extra gas that's invested in all of that. 13 probes going down. Lurker's trying to find an angle. And I mean, that is the one kind of big saving grace here for DNS is his army is still so beefy, so scary, so filled with power units. But it's not easy to find a fight versus that many lurkers. I mean, 10 more lurkers being added on. I think going up to 18 lurkers. This is the kind of stuff of Protoss nightmares because you can feel like you're taking the sickest fight in the world, but 18 lurkers just take so long to die and do so much splash damage. And sometimes even a good looking fight or an okay looking fight just suddenly turns around and looks absolutely terrible.
Oh, and by the way, Revi, you said that there were 2 fleet beacons on the way. No, there's 2 fleet beacons completed. They're right next to each other. So
yeah.
We can make double mothership is what I'm hearing. That being said, DNS, he's got this tech. He's maxed out and lurkers are going to dive on top of this army. So there's a room now. You can build more Stargate units. The problem is you got to be able to defend lurkers in the natural, Hydras in the main base. They're going to target the Stargate down, which is so nice because at this point, yes, you can win the game on a ground toss army, but you have to have a really good surround. You want to have disruptors, maybe additional splash, not just this charge lot Archon Immortal thing. And while DNS had put himself in some really nice position at the start of this game and the mid game, Wayne bought so much time with the roaches that at this point, DNS has no answer. The lurkers are just there. There are far too many of them. The 4th base is going to go down. The main base is still sieged up by our lurker in there. It looks like it's been actually cleaned up now. And these High Templars, they're there. Actually, I think they're taking a lot of damage as well. High Templar, Storms, I mean, the lurkers are very clumped together. Storms can kill them. I don't know that this run by in the main base, this warp-in, yeah, no, it's dead. 11 drones are nice, Ravi, but the damage that Wayne just got done far outstrips that.
It absolutely does. Wayne is in a phenomenal position now in this game. Spine Crawler defense also going to help deal with those charge lots that were trying to do a little bit of run by damage. Very, very nice storms there. And I mean, I think Wayne, he's going to have a hard time pushing into that many storms because he doesn't actually have that large of an army at the front lines. But once his reinforcements arrive and they are starting to rally across the map, he's going to have a much stronger army. There are their reinforcements. And if he takes care of those Archons, the Immortals are finally going to be on the front line and start getting target fire down. Storm plus Mothership plus Time Warp. I mean, that is a very, very potent combination. But again, it is about the economies. It's a 3-basing Protoss player versus a now, what is that? 6-base Zerg player with double Spires on the way. We have Vipers on the way. This is going to be like a nigh impossible kind of Zerg army to just stop because it's just going to be constantly reinforced. Even with the best trades, truly DNS has to just win with a push.
I mean, again, you say that, I think he can. And maybe, again, I'm just cheering for Protoss players too much. Army supply is not that different. He's got a mothership, he's got slow zones, he's got invisibility if he wants, he's got a ton of storms. It's a 70 or 60, 70 supply lead, but the army supplies are very close. It's all about the income. If you get on top of Zerg production, Wayne right now, he might want something more, and actually the Vipers are really key right now, so abducting the mothership, but it's in dead airspace, and now Hydras are going to target that down, but the slow zones are really nice here. They're going to allow more storms to land. Is there detection? Looks like there is for now. Oracle's dropping everything down. Here comes DnS, trying to get on top, trying to win right now, but the splits from the Hydras are good enough. The blinding cloud seems to be good enough here, and while I did believe that there was a world where you punch through with this, there's just not enough. The spellcasters are far too strong for the Zerg right now, and Wayne makes it look a little interesting, but he takes game one.
He does. It was a cool start there from DnS in a lot of ways. Like, that really did look like it was maybe getting situated to turn around into something really cool. Obviously, the very beginning of the game, we were saying like, oh man, or at least I know I was feeling like, man, Wayne seems like he's in a really, really decent spot here at the very beginning, but DnS turned things around really well with a really cool defense. I loved what you were pointing out also on the oracles, just massacring all of the Ravagers in the air, as there was absolutely no answer for that, while also misrallied Ravagers were getting picked off and everything with that big attack that DnS had done earlier. So I mean, I feel like Wayne was doing DnS was doing a lot of really nice stuff with that kind of mid game. But as the game went on, man, just as soon as Wayne got up to that massive lurker count, it really did feel like that, plus the run bys, DnS couldn't do anything about it. Like, DnS just got kind of overwhelmed once the run bys started happening, and Wayne was able to get into like his ideal late game composition.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting when you look at Zerg players, or sorry, I guess top Protoss players. Kind of the difference between the good and the great, in a large part, is you take a look at this fact. It's their vision control, right? So Wayne, when he was in a really rough spot, he was just on roaches against this charged lot Archon, a mortal, highly upgraded army. He just didn't have vision on the right side of the map. So roaches were able to dive in again and again and again. And at that point, you know, if the roaches buy that much time, you suddenly start to make the Protoss player transition. Because yes, you can win against, you can win with a ground Protoss army against lurkers, but you need more than just Immortal, Charged Lot Archon. You need like Disruptors and maybe Colossus and other things. You'd hire tech. And a lot of Protoss players, they'd rather just go and they go into Sky Toss. So you transition into Sky Toss. Well, suddenly that's a timing window that Wayne can take advantage of, and he did a great job of taking advantage of it. And at the end of the day, Ravi, that means that Wayne is a one map away from qualifying into the playoffs after a pretty rough run. But for now, I got to find Neil here. There we go. For now, he's got another map. We're going to move into game two. It's on Ghost River. And in the upper left, playing for Berserker Esports. He's down a map. It's DnS.
And over here in the top right-hand side, we have the red Zerg player from Starlight Twinkle. He is Wayne, sitting up 1-0. One game away from moving on to the playoffs, and we got a very, very fast drone making its way across the map into the natural to build a good old hatchery. This is what I was talking about. Wayne is definitely one of those players, or I was saying this in, like, the beginning of the last game. He's not afraid to get a little bit cheeky sometimes. He doesn't do it every game. He's not like a Mio Micah or something. He's not a Bly, but he will absolutely throw out a little bit of cheesiness or a little bit of cheekiness to throw his opponent off sometimes.
Yeah, and Wayne comes from this school of Eastern European Zergs that Bly is kind of established. And when Wayne was first on the come up, you know, we saw him go and he beat TY on a map when like TY was the best in the world, kind of putting people on, or one of the best Terran players in the world, and, you know, putting people on notice. In general, like, this is how Wayne came up. I don't know if we can call this cheesy, but more aggressive options, weirder stuff from the Zerg players. And turns out his macro is also really good as well. So up one on a short map, yeah, go make the Protoss player's life a little bit more unfortunate. 5 probes were pulled instead of 4, so the hatch is going to go down before it really finishes, and that does mean that a little bit, you know, we're going to see the natural. DnS is going to get that done a little quicker. The other question, though, is he going to go try to block gas? And for now, it looks like the answer is no. Again, he's just trying to block the natural as long as possible. Not quite going to get there. So DnS, he gets his natural down, and the game goes on. But, you know, I was talking about this with Loco yesterday. Protoss in general is so build order dependent. As there we go, skill check. Gas is not going to get stolen, but Protoss is so build order dependent that anything you can do to mess with them, it's a lot more comfortable for the Zerg than it is the Protoss.
Absolutely. I think this is the reason why players like Bly and stuff often see a lot of success when they do these kind of proxy hatches almost every single game. It's even when you know the proxy hatch or something that block is going to happen, it's still hard to deal with, just because, like you were saying, Protoss players have their build orders also mapped out, but they're not mapped out around a hatch block that often. It's not really as defined for that, and a lot of those crisp timings become a little bit, or like even sometimes a lot less crisp when you don't have all that. So I love the decision from Wayne to just kind of get in DNS's head a little bit. DNS is of course going to still be able to bounce back. Like you said, this isn't a super all-in proxy hatch cheese that failed. It's nothing like that. It is just something to throw your opponent off a little bit. And so far, I think it's absolutely been able to accomplish that.
It's just annoying. You're like, oh, okay, well, I can't. My timings are just a little bit off, and it does slow the Zerg player down too. You drop 300 minerals on a hatch, and you get 250 of them back when you cancel, but that's a drone. So you're just sitting here like, it slows the Zerg player down. But if I'm the player that wants to go and I'm the player making the decision to go and make this happen, all right? I'm the one that's going to go, and I've committed from the start of this game to go and do something weird and slow myself down to try to slow you down more. Theoretically, the person that's making the decision is going to be in a slightly better spot than the person who is having to react to the decision. Just again, because you're kind of mentally prepped for it. In this game, we're going to have to see, and for now, well, there's an Oracle that's going to show up, and that's very nice from Wayne there, denying the third base for just a little bit longer, getting the probe. He's going to get on top of the Adept. One of these is very low, so he's going to get 2 of the Adepts here. Oh, he's going to get in. Okay, well, I said it was very nice, and I stand by that statement. It's fantastic for Wayne.
Yeah, I mean, Wayne be able to get into the main base now, and it's not really so much that he's scouting out a ton over here, but it's just annoying. You're having to pull your pros while you're also trying to micromanage your Oracle on the other side of the map to pick off drones. And he has managed to kill off 2 drones total, I think, with just the Oracle. It did try and dive in on the spore crawler drones, or the drones that were only protected by a single spore. He can dive back in as those Oracles are both still pretty healthy, so could find additional damage. I think is going to be important. But like you were saying before, third base was delayed earlier on by the Lings being able to pick off that probe that was trying to build. It's just like all these little things that Wayne is managing to accomplish. They're just throwing DNS off his game. It makes everything a lot more painful. It makes everything about the game feel less smooth, which I absolutely love for Wayne.
Yeah. Oh, that's a dead queen. Oracles, it's easy to underestimate how much damage. Oh, yeah, he's gonna. No, yeah, dead queen. Not enough energy. It's easy to underestimate how much damage Oracles do, because generally they're not going to want to attack into a bunch of queens because they are glass cannons, but you leave one on its lonesome, that queen is going to get assassinated. It's going to go down. Now, you talk about that run by the way, just the other nice thing about the run by outside of the scout and killing off the Adepts and delaying the third base, is the fact that Wayne forced a bunch more Adepts to get warped in. That's money that you would rather be spending on infrastructure, spending on probes. And yeah, DNS is going to try to make something happen. He's got 6 Adepts. He's got these. He's actually got 3 Oracles right now. This is a lot of damage potential, actually. And with no roaches, just slings, you have to be pretty careful. But it looks like for now, Wayne's going to have his queens well positioned. The Oracles aren't going to find a position. So DNS is threatening. But for the moment, these Adepts are not going to get a lot done.
Yeah, I'm with you in the sense that these Adepts can absolutely, if they find a nice mineral line opportunity or something, they can get into a good spot, pick off a lot of drones and stuff, but it is going to be a little bit tough for them to get into that position with so many of these queens positioned at the front lines. And now the Ling's actually trying to go first round. Kind of an interesting commitment there for Wayne. He does trigger the Oracles to activate their pulsar beam, and they are actually now out of energy. So that does make things a little bit nicer because you don't have to deal with that for a little bit. That means that the Adepts can now get dove upon. There's no Oracle energy to help out, and the Shade is going to have to finish up to actually allow those Adepts to escape back to their safety of the shield battery.
How do you feel about this, Ravi? We don't have well, actually, do we have a Twilight? No, yeah, we don't have a Twilight at all. It's just very quick Robo Bait, double Robo coming out of DNS against what is a melee focus style. Yes, there's a Roach Warren done, and we're probably going to see more Roaches get made, but for right now, this is a Lingbane focus style out of Wayne. And we're going to see double Colossus popping out. We're going to see double Disruptor popping out, depending on exactly where he wants to go. I was going to say that, but we actually have nothing coming out of the double robo right now. So
probably Immortals, right? I mean,
well, he got the robo.
okay,
right?
sorry, there's
so,
a Colossus. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
against this Mass Ling style, I mean, that Immortal is not going to go down. Nice job there, DnS. This is Mass Ling against double Colossus, probably going to go up to 4 Colossus, delayed blink, maybe get a quick charge to begin because that's just a faster upgrade. It feels like DnS is just doing a really good job despite having this uncomfortable setup where Ling run bys get in and your third base gets delayed and your natural gets delayed and all of these things. It seems like DnS is doing a really good job of reading the game that Wayne wants to play and kind of leapfrogging him in game state.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. Now, we do have Temple Archives now being scouted out as well as it gets struck down. So Wayne is going to have a good read on kind of where the tech is. I think he's seen like the robos and everything else as well, right? Because he did, yeah, he saw the robotic space, saw that it's researching as well, which is a nice kind of showcasing like, okay, Colossus are coming out in good numbers. Is Wayne actually going to commit to something over here? He's moving out onto the map aggressively with an army that frankly doesn't look that large. If he's able to like jump in and snipe off the 4th base or cancel it, that's kind of nice. But yeah, if you overcommit, the oracles can actually start just picking off all those roaches in the middle of the map.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting himself set up for it, right? We've seen the creep highway with the overlords poop and creep down the middle of the map, and there is that. And Wayne's gonna go for it. 12 Banelings on the way. Baneling speed is done. +2 is gonna be done soon enough. And I have seen Wayne go and beat Colossus, Link Stalker, Sentry with just Ling Bane. He's done it before. He may do it again. But for right now, these triple oracles are so obnoxious. You morph in Ravagers and you immediately lose one. Second one takes a lot of damage. It means you gotta pull Queens with the push. Otherwise, all of the tech in this army is gonna get knocked down. So DnS is doing a really nice job of getting himself all ready for this, defending against this. But Wayne doing the Wayne thing.
Ooh.
It's not about the attack on the 4th base. That's what he's getting set up for. But instead, it's just attack in the natural. Lings and Banes and Roaches on into the natural, onto the main base, devouring one of the robos. Second one looks like it's going to stay alive for the time being. And Wayne's just trying to swarm. He's playing the purest iteration of Zerg. I'm going to attack into every angle. I'm going to get as much damage done as possible. And you just have to get yourself situated. Unfortunately for DnS, he's not doing that. Big surrounds everywhere. 30 dead probes all of a sudden. Tech going down. The robo now depowered, so nothing's coming out of that tech. Immortal probably not going to show up. And DnS is all of a sudden all in. He's taken so much damage here, but he's all in defensively. Wayne is doing such a good job of attacking everywhere. Like, how do you move out on the map?
The multi-prong aggression there was unbelievably clutch there for Wayne, because I think if that army had just tried to take a direct fight over at that 4th base location or something, or the 3rd base, I really don't know that I liked Wayne's chances all that much. But being able to spread out his army so much, like you were saying, be able to hit the main and the natural and the 3rd and the 4th all at once, really pulled DnS apart. And now the Banelig's come rolling on, and the Colossus on the front lines, not the Archons. The Colossus dying to the Banelings. And this was already off the back of the fact that DnS's economy has been absolutely ravaged. He can't really replace those units very easily. His robos had already been killed off, so he definitely can't replace those. There's not even like a counterattack all-in potential anymore for DnS. Wayne has absolutely killed it this game.
He really has, and I like at this point DnS is just kind of given up on the robot. Jeez, these Ling run bys. I love that he's given up on the Robo Dream, or I guess I don't love it, but I think it's interesting. He's on 8 gateways. He's going up to 11. So this is just, I have the Robotech that I have. I can get more Archons. I'm going to go charge that Archon maybe. I gotta go. I gotta do something. And I don't have time to get the Robos up. It's just not a thing. Unfortunately, 26 more drones are dead. The 4th base is dead. The main base is taking more damage. I guess shout out to DnS. He's lost 72 probes and is still somehow, up until right now, is still somehow north of 40. So he's got that one going for him. But the other way to look at this, Ravi, 73 dead probes. Yeah, he's dead.